This machine is on a whole nother level. The MultiSwiss behind me has several features on it that I've never seen before on any CNC machine, and in today's video, I want to walk you through a few of my favorites. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about in today's video is the journey of the oil. Guys, it's way crazier than you're thinking, I promise you, and if you stick around to the end of this video, you're going to find out why I'm super happy they filter this as much as they do. So if you already have a Swiss machine, then you're used to looking at a setup like this. Most Swiss machines' coolant tanks are only 50 gallons and they have 1 or 2 pumps and 1 or 2 filtration systems. And that's pretty much it. Now the MultiSwiss takes us to a whole nother level. This thing's got over 2,000 liters of coolant in it, which is about 540 gallons for you Americans watching. For you Americans, I'm American, what the f? This machine has 10 pumps and several different filtration systems on it because when this thing's running, you have a bunch of metal chips bouncing around in here, mixing with the oil and getting contaminated, and all of that has to go down into one spot in our chip conveyor tank. Behind the machining area, there's the first of 3 tanks in this machine. Now in this tank, there's a sensor right here. This sensor detects when the oil level gets too high, which then kicks on this pump, which sends all the contaminated oil all the way to the back of the machine. So at the back of the machine here is where we have the first filtration system. And this is a paper filtration system, so this is gonna filter down the oil to 50 microns or less. Let's check it out. So if we open this thing up, we can actually see how it works. It's a really simple device in all reality. It just uses gravity. So how it works is this drum right here slowly rotates and brings more paper in over time, making it so nothing bigger than 50 microns can get through. Now what is 50 microns? Well, 50 microns is about the size of a human hair. So, sorry camera guy, but I gotta take one from you here. All right. You can see if I measure this, how big 50 microns really is. So that means that nothing bigger than a human hair is gonna be able to get through that paper filter right there, which is pretty impressive already, but it gets a lot crazier than this.
Oh man, I need your help, and I've never done this before, but I just wanna jump in and I wanna just talk to you real quick. This platform is about manufacturing, and it's about taking this industry to greatness. It's about our young kids, it's about our workforce, it's about teaching everybody to compete. And when doing that, I use different brands. We've had Haas, we've had Makino, we've had DMG Mori, we've had Tormach. And through all of that, I always think about you guys. When stepping up to the premium machines, I looked at all machines and they're all great. But then I saw DN Solutions, previously known as Doosan. And I thought, you know what, here's a great machine that's actually like 20 to 30% less expensive. And we've been running these machines for almost 3 years. Now, I know that a lot of you guys have purchased the machines also. And because the decisions that I make revolve around you and what's best for you, I thought I would just come and actually ask you guys for some information. One, I'm looking for advice. Did I make the right decision? Should I stay with this machine? Should I move on? 2, the awareness to the DN brand that we brought in our videos. Did that in some way inspire you or your shop to actually purchase these machines? I would love to hear the testimony. I'd love to also hear the value of the machines that you've purchased over the last 3 years and your goals for the future, and just any advice that you'd have for us. Now, to get this information to me, I want you to go through my vice president at this company, Dave Cox. His email is simply dave@titansofcnc.com. And I just want to let you guys know, DN Solutions is an amazing partner, and you guys are an amazing community. So I just think it's important that every now and then I actually come out and actually ask you guys legit questions about what you guys think and what your experience has been. As always, thank you so much for the support. Back to the video, boom.
After it goes to the paper filter, it goes through 4 more 50 micron metal filters right here. So these metal filters here catch anything that the paper filters don't get. So all of the oil goes through those 2 filters right there. After that, it goes on one of several journeys. And the first one I want to talk to you guys about is the oil that goes through the spindles, because I think that is the craziest journey so far in this machine. So it all starts right here with the centrifuge, right? This is gonna spin the oil and get all of the finer paste-like chips out of the oil just with centrifugal force. After that, the clean oil comes out through this hose right here and is picked up by this pump, which then sends the oil to the 5 micron filters on the other side of the machine. So let's fast forward over there. And at the other side of the machine, we have our 5 micron filters. So these bad boys right here will get the oil down to 5 microns. Now, like I said earlier, 50 microns is the size of a human hair, so 10 times smaller than that is what these bad boys are gonna catch. After these right here filter the oil down to 5 microns, they go into what's called the cold tank. This tank right here is for the spindles only. This is the oil that runs through the spindles for the hydrostatic effect. This is chilled down to 26 degrees Celsius. All right, so you have your cold tank right here, and the rest of the oil in the machine is inside what's called the hot tank. This is kept at 30 degrees Celsius. Don't think hot and cold really means too big of a difference here. It's only 4 degrees Celsius. So the cold tank is monitored right here by this thermometer. Now, while the machine's running, you'll actually notice this handle move up and down, keeping track of the temperature. So once this detects that the coolant in the cold tank is too warm, it'll activate this pump right here, which sends the oil to the 26-degree chiller. And you have to have 2 chillers in this machine because you have one for the 30 degrees Celsius tank, which is the hot tank, and one for the 26 degrees Celsius tank, which is the cold tank. That I've explained 3 times now. So once the oil is chilled and filtered to an extreme level, this bad boy right here kicks on, and this is what makes the hydrostatic effect in our spindles happen. When you look at the front of these spindles and you see that small little bit of oil coming out, that's actually around 1% of the oil from the hydrostatic system. This giant pump is pumping at 75 bar, which is roughly 1,000 PSI. As it pumps the oil to the spindles, it goes through another backup 20 micron filter, and then it goes through this guy right here, which keeps back pressure in the system in case of an emergency, and then you can finally see it go out the front of the machine. So that's everything that goes into the hydrostatic effect of the spindles in the machine. Let's now go on to the warm tank, which has 2 sets of pumps I want to show you guys. The first set is right here. So this right here is your pump for your high pressure coolant for 40 bar, and this right here is your pump for high pressure coolant of 80 bar. Now these 2 pumps right here are what shoot the oil at your tool while it's cutting. This keeps the tool cool, and it keeps the chips off the tool. The cool tool. I like that. So if you want 40 bar or 80 bar on your tools, you have to go around to the other side of the machine and hook up which hose you want to which station. So let's fast forward travel to the other side of the machine, shall we? And we're at the other side of the machine. Editing is awesome. So yeah, up here you have your 80 bar high pressure coolant, and down here you have your 40 bar. Now I mainly use 40 bar because that's like 580 PSI, and that's good enough for most instances you're gonna be in. But you can see right here, I have an X48 designation on this line right here. That's for X4, that's for my sub spindle side. You can see right here I have X18. This one's actually hooked up to 80 bar, so that's my cutoff tool. I always like to have a lot more pressure on my cutoff tool because that's like the most critical operation in a machining process. If your cutoff tool fails, everything that happens after that's pretty bad. So I usually put a lot of pressure to my cutoff tool. All right, so that's it for your high pressure pumps. Now, let's go on to your low pressure pumps. These bad boys are right here. So this low pressure pump right here is your flood coolant. These are the little nozzles on the outside of the machine that are keeping the way covers clean. This right here is for the 30-degree chiller. And there's also a little line right here that breaks off and goes to the chip conveyor. All this does is it keeps a flowing coolant at the bottom of the chip conveyor to make sure that sensor doesn't get clogged up or anything like that, and it can keep working properly. And then one last thing I want to talk about, I think this is crazy. These right here are actually manhole covers on the bottom of the machine for you to get inside this thing and clean it out. So what I recommend is you find the guy in your shop that you like the least, right? The guy that comes in every single day and complains about his wife's cooking, whatever. Find that guy, and once every couple of years, have him drain this thing, pop these bad boys off, and get in there and clean it out.
Nope.
These things go around the whole perimeter of the machine. This coolant tank is this entire thing. It's huge. So that's pretty much everything on the oil flow of this machine. I found it really fascinating when I learned about it. I couldn't believe how much went into this thing. So now that I've shown you guys that, let's go over the control so I can show you guys some of the crazy things I've learned on this new control that Tornos came out with. They really took it to the next level here. Now it's running FANUC in the background, so if you're used to FANUC at all, you're gonna be able to walk right up to this thing and program away. You might be noticing too that I have an emergency alarm. That's because I pressed the E-stop so you could hear me over all the stuff that's going on in this machine. Now the only difference between this and a FANUC control that you're probably working on is the custom menus. So if I go to custom here, you can see I have tons of different menus. I mean, really, there's so many menus in here, it almost warrants a video on its own. One of the many menus in here is the program events menu. If you press this, this is how you control the little R2-D2 probe that comes up and catches the remnant or your parts if you want to start a new program. If I don't want that to run, I can turn it off on here. You may notice in the other video that I added a live tool holder. Well, you have to tell the machine which station and what type of holder you're adding so it knows that it's active, right? So you'll add that here. You press statics, and you'll see right here there's spindle connect and spindle disconnect. If I hit spindle connect, it'll then ask me what post I want to go to. So you'll see there's letters here. There's also corresponding letters in the machine. We'll just go to A, station A. We'll hit input. It's going to ask me what station number it wants to go to. We'll say station 3, input. All right, it'll ask me what type of live tool I want to add. So I'll scroll down, I'll select radial drilling attachment. Now, it'll give me the list of instructions I need to follow to add one of these holders. So it's super nice, right? If you go through this menu, it'll show you everything you need to do to add holders, take them out, or whatever. I really like that. That way you don't have to go to a manual all the time to figure things like this out. That's pretty cool.
Hey, listen up. Did you know that you could go on CNCEXPERT.com and get certified in CAD, CAM, and CNC machining?
That's right, guys. Even my mom knows about this website where you can go and create a portfolio for yourself and really showcase your skills.
Because the last thing I need is another paper resume from a CNC machinist.
Right, Mom? Like, what is it, 1934 and your favorite Billie Holiday album just came out? Go on this website right now and create a next level portfolio for yourself so you can showcase your skills to the whole world. The next thing about this machine that I really like is it's wildly easier to program than you're thinking. So they have this TB Deco software here. So this is the program you saw running at the beginning of the video. Now this might look like a lot, but let me show you how much this machine automatically calculates for you when you create a new part, right? So create a new part, or the MultiSwiss, V1, this guy right here, next, next, finish, yes. So right out of the gate, I already have like 90% of the program written for me. All I have to do is fill in the blanks, right? What's the diameter of my material? What speeds and feeds do I want to do? What's the profile of my part? Little things like that I have to add, but pretty much all the staging you're watching in this program is done for me automatically, which is super nice because when I first walked up to this machine, I thought it was going to be like a 9-channel machine, like an SMX or another Swiss, and that just would have been horrible. So the fact they did this to make this easier is super sweet. One more thing that's pretty cool about this software is it gives you a 2D simulation of the part running. So if I click on my operation, my turning operation on the beginning, and I go to view outline, I can actually say next code and go through each step one at a time, right? So the blue line is the current line, which makes it really, really convenient because I can see what my code's gonna do before I press start. This was one of, by far, the most amazing things I saw on this machine when I first got it, because it made me feel a lot safer about pressing start when 35 axes are all about to go flying into each other. So this is the R2-D2 probe I was talking about. So this thing right here actually comes out, and when you do a cutoff, this is what catches all your bar remnants, right? So every time you have a bad part or whatever and you press start and it does that initial cut, it's gonna cut the part off into this, drop it, and then when you wanna get them out, you open this thing and voila. You have all your remnants. In a big oily mess, but yeah. So here's some of the bad parts from my setup that I ran. Almost dropped that on my foot. But yeah. Oh, come on. I mean, oil in the face. I mean, really. This is the end of the video. That was the last thing I had to do. I did not think there was that much oil at the bottom of that. Oh. So, one thing about the MultiSwiss you want to learn from me making stupid mistakes is don't ever drop that basket in there because there's a crap load of oil in it and you're going to find out what your oil tastes like. Which if I had to give this a taste, I'd say it tastes like, oh, cedar? Like, you know, or if you like ate the cork out of a wine bottle. Not that I've done that, but like, it's really hard to see right now, I'm not gonna lie. This is like burning my eyes. Well, that's it for our video today, guys. I hope you're having a better day than the person is behind me. I myself just got cleaned up after getting shot in the face with oil, so yeah, that was a fun experience. If you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that notifications bell, and yeah, see you guys next time. Okay, ready? Just like... Every video, Trevor. Every single time with this guy. I'm so hungry.